Hello and welcome to Alternate Image Raid. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. We're dropping another Faction Wars team here, this one for the Undead Horde Crypt. We're going to do this on stage 21 to get the 3 stars to make progress for your Lydia. And here is a team we have Ultimate Death Knight, we have Vlad, we have Seeker, we have Vogoth, and we have Gorgorab. Now, when I originally did this, I did this with 2 Vogoths. And at this point, Ultimate Death Knight actually feels like a more accessible team to show than the double Vogoths. The double Vogoths is going to be really about as survivable. It makes it really hard for AoE champs to take out my team. I think I have the wrong Vogoth in, though. And then, of course, Vlad at one point was a fusion-type champion, so he at least was guaranteed at one point in the past. This team is fairly strong in terms of their gear compared to some of the other teams I've shown. But at the end of this match, I will show off all of their gear and their stats and their masteries after we finish this run. Of course, Ultimate Death Knight, like I said, is pretty geared. He has been featured in several videos on this channel if you want to see him tackle Clan Boss and solo some level 25 dungeons. So let's get into this. I am going to let this play mostly on auto. It should be able to keep itself alive without being any trouble. One of the reasons I like to show these matches on auto is both it's more legitimate to how I actually play them, and also it means you could use this team to farm once you're going for the rewards and currencies that you get for the faction wars after you've actually cleared it yourself. So let's talk about a little bit of their abilities here. Vlad is going to drop an AoE decrease turn meter that also drops a leech on the enemy. It is a really strong hitting attack. Then his A2 is a big double hit that can put a silence ability on the enemy and stop them from using active skills. Gorgorab down here is mostly here for the heal that he provides and the res that happens with that heal if somebody is dead. He also does provide turn meter increase as well as attack up, but Seeker's providing that as well. So neither of those is incredibly important as it is. And I'm going to take over right now just to make sure this guy drops this. Unfortunately, it isn't going to do enough. But we want to attempt to get crowd control out. That was actually excellent. Onto these Valkyries to speed up the run a lot if we can stop them from dropping their big shields right away. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to attempt to taunt this one. That taunt did, in fact, fail. We're going to try one more time with our Ultimate Death Knight just to see if we can slow them down a bit. And we can't. Not really too big of a deal, but we will try to take one out so they aren't getting to really slow down the run. It doesn't affect the survivability. This team will live regardless, but it does affect the speed. I'll just let it get to auto from this point forward. It may take a little bit of manual direction. I think we're going to get to slow them down. Beautiful. They got it off at the very last second. That's fine. We'll let it auto from here. Anyway, where was that? Seeker is going to provide a chance of a taunt on his A1, as well as turn meter increase with attack up, doubling some of the roll that Gorgorab is doing. Honestly, you could take either one of those, although Gorgorab is more important because he does have the res. Sometimes people can die. Vogoth has an AoE taunt, which is amazing because when the enemy hits him, he will bring a heal to the entire team based on the amount of damage he's taking. It is exceptional. And then, of course, Ultimate Death Knight has been featured several times in this channel, has a taunt, he has an attack down, he has a shield. Just a really strong all-rounder champ to help support your team. You could swap him out for almost anybody on this team other than Vlad or Gorgorab. Gorgorab, having somebody with the res is always really nice on one of these Faction Wars teams. And Vlad is really the only one I have that's doing proper damage. So we get to the boss. Again, I'll just let this auto here. I'll show you the ability. We have attacks one enemy, ignore defense. This damage is very high and will definitely kill somebody at some point. Hopefully it does not kill my Gorgorab, or this will not be a 3-star turn. The next one, it will remove all debuffs from the boss and then stun and fear my team. Extra turn. It's actually pretty rough to make sure that the enemy will get a chance to slow you down and then go again. finally this boss does get the turn meter fill whenever they take damage. So the main thing here is hoping that when eventually somebody dies, which normally is Vlad. Vlad typically dies on this team several times actually during the boss and then gets rezzed by Gorgorab. If Gorgorab's res happens at the wrong time, if it is on cooldown when Vlad dies, then we don't get the 3-star. So there can be some value in taking manual control to make sure that the res happens at the right time. But what is really nice about Ultimate Death Knight is Ultimate Death Knight has a 50% chance against bosses to take the hit. He did that once with Vlad and took the hit. He didn't do it again, but we didn't need it and we made it through. This is a solid team. We'll notice here that Vlad did most of the damage with a little bit done by Seeker and a little bit done by Ultimate Death Knight, with Ultimate Death Knight providing even more heals than Gorgorab due to the fact he actually provides a heal over time and not just the one-turn heal at once. So let me go show you the stats on all these champions, and then I'll discuss some alternatives for what you could be using instead. Vlad here is pretty geared, not amazingly so, but very strong for my account personally. He's one of my better geared champions. We'll see that his speed is particularly high. I actually use him for my arena nuker in a lot of situations. Speed should be higher for that, but that's just what I got with keeping high attack, almost 100% crit rate, and high crit damage. And then always over 250 accuracy, because I do use this guy on bosses sometimes to land his turn meter, his debuffs, and so forth. We have Ultimate Death Knight. Oh, let me show you some more of him really quick. His masteries, I did take him through Helm Smasher just because for pure damage for use again in arena and places like that. Ultimate Death Knight, we'll see he has this War Master on for his mastery. Boss damage, I was using him to solo bosses, and I have not re-geared him since that video. He is Intoxic for the same reason. And then good speed, great defense, decent HP, and then over 300 resist. Now his accuracy is too low for normal content, but he is in high resist to help him solo Dragon 25 as well as Ice Golem 25, and he does that well, if not slowly. Seeker is on my clan boss team, so his speed is fixed, but he does have pretty decent gear because I did try to optimize him when I was building that team so he could do solid damage. We'll see that he has okay attack, not actually low defense because keeping him alive is valuable, crit rate, crit damage, and his accuracy is technically a little bit low. But you'll notice some of his pieces are not leveled up to 12 yet. He could get improvement. And then again, we have him in War Master because boss damage. Gorgorab was my arena speed lead for a very long time before I got Arbiter. I have not changed his kit since then. He's coming down to get extra turn meter when ally HP drops. It actually doesn't hurt on this content as well, but I wouldn't say that I'd recommend this build specifically for these faction wars, but it has served me well going through. For his gear, it is not amazing. It has not been tuned up in a long time, but it is pretty fast, which is the goal for this guy. Okay HP, okay defense, decent speed. And so you're just trying to cycle through his abilities as fast as possible so that we can get the extra turn meter boost, the ally attack, and then the heal and res if needed. We'll notice that his accuracy is too low to get a lot of value out of his chance of stripping one buff. This Vogoth is fairly geared. It could be even better. You see some of the gear is not enchanted. I was in the process of reworking him for Bommel. I didn't end up getting him all the way for Bommel. You'll see his resist is really high. His HP is high, but not high for a Vogoth, and his defense is pretty decent as well. And then I did keep his accuracy over 250 because you want to land this AoE provoke chance here. And then we have his passive, which is what I was mentioning, heals when he takes damage. It's pretty solid. And then his other passive, he does place Leech on the attacker. He's a great overall healer for the team. I do recommend him if you have the option, and he does have some healing set there as well. And then we have him in Giant Slayer because his A1 does do a triple hit, and so does great support if you do take him on any kind of boss content. Now let's go to these Fek guys, and we can discuss some alternatives for champions. So you could use another Vogoth. Oh wait, that's not helpful. I've tried it with Bad L. My team does run faster with my Bad L on it. Obviously, if you have even more amazing champions, feel free to use them, but it isn't necessary. This team can run. Again, I've only succeeded with just Vlad and then another Vogoth. So a 4 epic, 1 legendary team is pretty solid. I suspect it would also work without Vlad and another Vogoth or another defensive champion, particularly if you have Ultimate Death Knight. Ultimate Death Knight is probably going to make this team fairly easy for a lot of people, particularly once your gear gets up a little bit, and you're not going to need this video. So that'll be sad for me, but grats for your 3-star. As for these other guys, I never got them to 6-star or necessarily amazing gear, but they just didn't feel like they were bringing the right kind of control or damage I needed for my team. They're a little bit more niche in their usage, but of course, if that's what you have available, 6-starring out a Dark Elhain or Dark Aethel is still going to bring a lot of value to your kit. Get some extra damage here, some AoE, some increased attack on this champion. We have decreased speed on the enemy, some extra control with damage, pretty nice. But I'd recommend, if you have available, Gorgorab, we have your Ultimate Death Knight for sure, providing that defense lead as well. And then some form of additional support and just 1 damage. This boss, particularly since they go faster the more damage they take, works really well having only 1 main DPS. So I recommend 4 support, heal, tank, res kind of composition with the best damage you can get in your faction. And that's really about it for this team. Any comments, anything you'd like to see, any mistakes you think I made here with this composition, feel free to let me know in the comments. And sub if you'd like to see, of course, also the other content on the channel, the rest of the factions, I do them. And then after I finish all the teams that I actually use myself, then I'm going to switch around and try to do some videos for completely alternate compositions, see if I can start making some of it work with no legendaries or none of these top tier, S tier type champions. So definitely keep an eye out for that. It will be a little bit of time before those come out because I do have a few more of these regular ones to go through, but that is something coming in the future. Of course, like if you like, and if you dislike it, feel free to smash that dislike button as it's still engagement for the channel. And as always, have a great day.